It's Team Robbie versus Team X.
You'll go head-to-head in 3 football-related challenges right here on DR Sports.
And whoever comes out on top, you're getting flown to Turkey with one of us
We've teamed up with Antlara Dental Clinic
to get your teeth done.
out in Antalya, Turkey.
I'm talking flights, the hotel, the full procedure.
The competition is open to UK residents only.
And Lara is throwing in a 10% discount for everyone who applies.
Do not want to miss this.
Let the duels begin.
Hi, and welcome along to the weekend roundup. We are back with another show, and it's going to be a great show today. We, of course, are going to be talking about PSG. How good were they in the Champions League final? Wirtz, is he going to Liverpool, or could that collapse if they don't want to pay the fee? And what's happening with Bruno Fernandes? Is he off to Saudi? Ange Postecoglou, the great, the guy who won it for the Spurs. Surely they're not going to sack him. All will be revealed on today's show. We got Matisse in the building.
Come on.
And we got Alex in the building. Listen, well done, first of all, for Saturday, holding it up on the watch along, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I was looking to come, man. We went to the Jamaica-Nigeria game.
Yeah. I think clickbait is probably the word, because it was Robbie and Ty and me on the thumbnail, and then it was just me and Doyle.
Yeah, but you done well, man.
No, we did well, thank you.
100,000 views, man. It did brilliant.
We did well.
Right?
And you're hosting today because I am
You're not feeling
suffering
well.
badly with hay fever.
I didn't know you got hay fever.
You've seen me before, like, with all water coming down my face when I've had it bad before.
I just thought that was because of Trent leaving.
No, it's Kelleher.
No,
Kelleher.
it's Kelleher.
Is it Kelleher leaving?
No,
Kelleher
no,
and
my
Trent's
deep love
leaving.
for Queeveen, man.
Yeah.
Love that legend. We'll
Yeah.
speak about that later on in the show.
Trent's gone now, though, isn't it? That's it.
He's having pictures of Roberto Carlos getting tips at the F1 in Spain.
Yeah. And
They
you got money
was all
for
like
it.
the F1.
Got
Yeah.
10 mil in the end.
See?
That's good. Got money.
Pays for our first instalment of Jeremy Frimpong across
There you
3
go.
years.
There you go.
See?
Couldn't
So
be
it's all
better.
ended all right in the end.
Hasn't it,
And
just?
then
So why am I
all that
crying on the
moaning
thumbnail
and
then?
groaning.
What's going on?
After all that moaning and groaning, look. See, that's why Klopp. You know what I mean? Well done to Klopp, by the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
this is shameless.
he did kind of have to put
This
you
is
lot in your
shameless.
place.
Top tier management,
This
honestly.
is
Yeah.
shameless.
I loved
Didn't
it.
put no one in our place.
Oh,
He did.
he put you
He
in your
did. He
place.
put
Yes,
you in
he
your
did.
place, man. He did.
Yes, he did.
So you think because of what Klopp said?
Yeah.
Bear in mind, you weren't at the ground on Sunday, so all I was hearing all day was, "I don't like what Klopp said, lads. I love him, but don't
was
like
Trent
it."
booed?
No, not once.
Why not?
Why?
But my question is, you two think that
Yeah.
because Klopp said that,
Yeah,
you
of
didn't
course.
Yeah,
boo?
yeah.
All right, say no more. Because everyone
It's
didn't like what
obvious.
Klopp said.
But you
I
didn't
haven't
boo,
spoke
did
to
you?
anyone who liked what Klopp
But
said.
did you lot boo him after Klopp said that?
There's probably a couple, man.
Yeah,
Still.
but not as many, man, was it?
Huh? Not as many, man. Listen, that's
Klopp
my
put you
right
lot
back
in your
over
place.
there. That's my right back over there, mate. We're like
Klopp
Connor.
put you lot in your place. Admit it, man.
No, I didn't like what he said. And actually,
What's
Rory
wrong?
Jennings,
Rory
doesn't-
Jennings supports Chelsea.
I know, but exactly, and he still gets it, and you two don't get it. So go and watch that clip, and you'll
I'll
understand.
have a word with him. I
And
don't think he
Big
does.
up, big him up.
You know
Unlike Rory.
Rory's controversial
But
already.
this one, he was spot on, bang on the money, nail on the head. So big him up for that.
No, what did he say?
He said, of course, Jurgen Klopp is a Liverpool hero, right? He's etched in the folklore and all that. But telling Liverpool fans to not boo him, you don't have the right to do that. You're
Of
not a
course he
manager
does.
anymore. No, you're not a manager anymore.
He's not a manager
And
no
Rory
more.
said in the video, I understand Klopp's viewpoint on this. He's going to be very protective, very defensive, because he obviously built Trent from the ground up. He was the one that gave him his chance. He almost felt like his dad, really.
That's
in
why he
terms
said
of the
he's.
games
That's why he
and
said he
But hold
knows
on.
him.
Klopp is a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
So, as a Liverpool fan, he should be able to give his opinion on
Listen,
Liverpool subjects.
I understand where he's coming from. I do understand the opinion that Klopp has because of how close he was to Trent, and he'll defend him till the hills. I mean, there was awful defensive performances from Trent under Klopp, and he still defended him. So he has his opinion. The Liverpool fans thought, let's just not boo him. It's the last game of the season. In the programme notes, actually, Arne Slot said, look, we've got so much to celebrate today, and this is what I think did it. Slot came out and said, whatever you feel about certain situations, that can wait. Today's about lifting the title on Sunday last week, and that's what we did. And listen, Trent's gone. We can all move on now. No more Trent chat.
Well,
Thank
until
God.
next season when we get to watch him.
Yeah, and then I'll be digging him out for his bad
I
defending.
hope you two play each other next season in the league phase.
I hope we play them in the final.
If I hear any Liverpool fan
Know what I mean?
dig him out about defending after all that they've said over
No,
the
because
years,
I'm tired of defending.
if I hear
I'm
that-
tired of defending his defending.
Oh, look, no, so
Are you ready to?
So
Are you ready
you
to
were lying all the
defend?
time.
I
Frimpong's
was.
defending?
A lot of the time I was lying. I'll be honest.
Yeah, but
A lot of the time I was just doing a Klopp thing and just defending him blindly. But
Frimpong. Let's see how he defends as well.
well, he only got dribbled past 13 times.
Oh,
in
he's
the
got the
season.
stats ready, has he?
I think
Okay.
Trent was like 50 or something. So
Look at the slander already.
I know,
Look
I
at
know.
it.
he's not our player. Not our player anymore. In fact, yesterday he was still our player, but today he isn't.
Officially not.
Officially not.
Wow.
Fairs.
But
But
listen,
big him up, man. Whatever. Like I'm just done with talking about Trent.
listen,
now.
well,
Fair.
you
It's
listen.
a
One
boring
thing.
topic,
One
man, for
thing
me.
though, you did a watch along to the Champions League final.
We did.
I think we all thought it was going to be a close affair. But wow, what a performance by PSG. 5-0 winners. That's the heaviest
Unbelievable.
defeat any team's ever suffered in a Champions League final. And it could have been more as well. I
Yeah.
think they were lucky to get away with just the 5.
Whoa, the ref showed mercy. He didn't
Yeah.
even play at any added time.
7
As soon
seconds.
as
Yeah.
he got to added 90 minutes, blew that whistle, mate. It was like, I'm showing mercy on you. Lot,
Yeah, but
'cause this could get really
some of the
embarrassing.
chances, missed Kvaratskhelia, missed a couple, like Barcola missed.
Barcola
It
missed
could-
a easy
that
chance.
could quite easily have been more.
Could have been
I
7.
mean, they were
They were awful,
unbelievable
Robbie.
PSG, weren't they?
Inter were awful. Let's have it right. Defensively, DeMarco first half got twists up. He got, embarrassed really. And at half time, Gerrard said, you need to show him where the shower is.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
how
that.
bad he was. But what I don't want to do is add on to the pile on Inzaghi, because very similar to Klopp in 2022, he lost the last game of the season, which lost him the league by a point. Then a week later, he loses the Champions League. This is the difference. This is the fine margins that if a couple of results went his way, we could be talking about Inter being the best team in Europe right now.
So, see, if that was Arteta, everyone would just say he bottled it. Like, now
No,
you're trying
but
to tell
he
me
has.
about
Oh,
He
fine
has
margins.
bottled it, though.
No,
hasn't
he has.
No,
No,
I
I'm
don't
saying-
think he's
But
bottled the
I-
Champions
but in a
Champions
way
League, which is
in a way they bought, because if you actually look at Inter,
the league table they did.
in the league,
Yeah.
they were set for
Yeah.
the treble.
Yeah,
Then they
yeah.
lost to AC Milan,
Yeah.
right, which in a game they should have, they'd be favourites to
AC
win,
Milan been poor this season.
right? Yeah. Then they lost the league to Napoli,
Yeah.
right?
And they put a
They had a
really
couple of games
weak
in there
team
that
out
they
as
should
well.
really have won.
Yeah.
And then in the final, they haven't bottled the final. They've come up against a really good side. We witnessed them. You witnessed them when they played you.
Yeah.
They've deserved to win this.
Oh,
I mean, they have been
100%.
electric, PSG, haven't they?
Yeah, that was one of the best performances I've seen from any team in a final. That was Germany, Brazil. That was Man United, Barcelona. That was emphatic. It was, and the thing is with PSG, it was every phase of play. Like they just didn't let Inter Milan breathe. I think maybe a bit of a mismatch physically as well. Maybe Inter Milan having to play all the way to the end of their campaign with things on the line. PSG wrapped up their league in March, but then they've also got younger players in certain positions that are just able to run the game. Like Neves and Vitinha were outstanding. Vitinha was unbelievable. To think that this guy used to play for Wolves and was putting through balls in behind to Pedro Neto against us. He's now going onto a pitch in a Champions League final and literally just dictating, popping things off. 8-6, he's drifting between positions. The fluidity and the flexibility he allows that front three to have was just... It's inspiring. It makes you believe in the game again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
it's
see a lot
exciting.
of rigidness and you see like a lack of maybe invention and just off the cuff kind of things going on because there's a lot of like control these days. But now you see that front three and they all press, they all track back, they all worked hard.
They do everything.
But they all interchange. Desiree Doué picking up the ball on the left for that assist for the first goal.
Yeah.
You see him on the right for his goal. Kvaratskhelia, both feet. He's taking shots. Dembele's always been two-footed. So unpredictable, so difficult to defend against. Just an absolute pleasure to watch. I was in awe. It was brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
When you're looking at the midfields that started that game, though, Robbie, we know PSG are so balanced, right? They've got youth, a bit of experience there. They're all quite small technical players, but that doesn't stop them from putting a tackle in and running up and down the pitch. And you compare that, with all due respect, to Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan. I mean, there were times when Vitinha and Neves were just taking the ball, and it was like, Mkhitaryan, he's 37. He's not going to get back, is he?
Well, no,
Yeah.
listen, they
Champions League-
did, but they did get all the
They
way
got
to
to
a
the final,
final,
and you
and
have
they
to
did beat
respect them. That's why I
Barcelona in
said respect
semi-final.
them.
They beat Bayern. I think the thing is, right, in
DeMarco
both
had a
games that they
shocker as
won
well.
in those Bayern and Barcelona, probably when you look at it, they weren't the better team. They just managed to get over the line somehow in those games. But in the final,
Luck ran out.
yeah, and they got absolutely blown away. Inzaghi's job's under threat at the moment. They're saying that they're not sure. I mean, his future was in doubt even before this game because there was talk that he could be going to Saudi. But I mean,
Or Tottenham, maybe.
yeah, it was just a devastating performance, and I love the tifo that they unveiled at the end.
Oh my God.
In tribute to
Zana.
Luis Enrique, who lost his daughter a few years back. That was really touching by the PSG fans. They didn't the next day go and smash everything up in Paris.
You'd think they lost.
But I mean, listen, I was witness to those fans.
They
man.
right if they win, they right if they lose.
When they beat us in the semi-final, man, they kept us in for about 2 hours. They were going crazy outside.
Why are they
So
burning
imagine the
cars
final.
and rioting, though? 2 people have died from this.
Yeah, that's been bad.
It's mad. I don't
crazy.
understand it.
But going back to what you said on Luis Enrique's daughter, I mean, his outlook on his daughter, I mean, he said, why should I be sad? I should count myself as lucky, not unlucky. I got to spend 9 amazing years with her. And you know what? We all have our tribalisms. We all love football and we love our teams. But that is not even what football is about. That's what life is about. Imagine having that positive mental attitude towards something as tragic as that. A lot of people can take inspiration. Like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now. And the tifo, his beautiful daughter was only 9. Incredible, so well deserved, and I'm so happy for his family that they had that moment. It's unbelievable.
And he's now won the Champions League twice. Where does
2
he rank?
trebles.
2 trebles and a 2 Champions League. Where does he rank with him? A lot of times when we talk about these top managers, his name don't get called out, but it should be, innit?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he had the whole MSN, obviously, Rakitic and Busquets and Iniesta in that team. And I think,
the decline when he took over.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great team. I mean,
it was a great team, but it was
like
the team coming towards the end.
It wasn't Pep's Barca, but it was still, that front three was the best front three I've ever seen. That front three. But I think maybe he even felt like, let me show you that I don't need that 3. I can do this without them. And him and Campos, what they've put together, I know they've had some expensive, signings go wrong. They sold Agate to Man United. That looks like a masterstroke. They had a couple players on the bench like Ramos, who obviously haven't really moved the needle, but a good 85% of what they've done, 80% of it, is just brilliant scouting, brilliant talent ID. When you go through Campos's resume and what he's done at Lille, Monaco, PSG, even players like Ekitike, I think he brought into PSG, and obviously now they've moved on, and like some serious ballers he's brought in. So I'm just happy for both of them because I think they're both underrated. I think Campos is not spoken about enough as well.
Yeah, listen, it's what they've managed to put together is unbelievable, and they've won the Champions League, they've done the treble, it's amazing. But I don't buy into this idea that
here you go.
Like, yes, they've got rid of the Messis, the Mbappes, the Neymars. I hear that, but let's not pretend like Pacho wasn't 40 mil. Let's not pretend like Ramos was 95 mil. Let's not pretend that like they've got the biggest wage bill in Europe by £100 million. They're 100 million more than Man City.
Yeah, no one's saying it's fairy tale.
Yeah,
amazing man management.
Yeah, I was going to
say,
let's
not pretend like this is a.
Well, I was going to ask,
it was done on a shoestring budget.
Is it a fairy tale, or is it? No, it's not a fairy tale because, like you said, like spent €2 billion there trying to.
About time they won.
Remember, most of that has been aimed at trying to win this, right?
Yeah.
€600 million spent by Luis Enrique, like you said. So, ain't like he ain't spent a lot of money as well, right?
But Arsenal spent more than that. Chelsea spent more than that. Man United spent more than that.
Luis Enrique in 2 transfer windows.
Oh, I thought you were talking about how much Campos has spent.
So
unlimited
Enrique spent 600 million euros in 2 transfer windows, and PSG has spent over €2 billion.
In what?
Well,
10 years or whatever. Probably.
So we know they've had it's turned out now that they've realised that you need a team.
Yeah,
it's not just about having your Neymars, Messi.
But they've paid for that team.
Even Mbappe, he must be feeling a bit gutted. I mean, having left.
Hold that, Mbappe. Actually, hold that. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely you can hold that.
He didn't
thought the grass was greener. Hold that.
He has
for
to.
sure.
He does have to.
You must hold.
He's the all-time PSG top scorer.
Yeah.
And he had, he's successful there.
Yeah.
But he didn't get the final.
There's been other examples.
He didn't get
the
final one over the line.
I think Michael Owen left Liverpool. We won the Champions League the year after. There's a few more examples. I've got a question for you.
One.
Yeah, hopefully.
leaves in.
Hopefully. Matisse, I've got a question for you. How did you react to the copium from the Arsenal fans after this PSG win when they said, we took them blow for blow, we took them all the way? I actually saw you make a really good point.
Fans?
Some online ones.
Yeah, well,
on X.
2 Arsenal fans can say something and you try and make that like everyone.
It was more than 2. Matisse replied perfectly, in my opinion. He said, hang on, Aston Villa beat them, right, at home. Obviously, they didn't go through. Liverpool took them to pens and beat them away. Arsenal lost both ties. Yes, you beat them in November, but it's a totally, totally different team. But what did you make of the... we went blow for blow. Arteta's going to do it next year.
I feel
Sad
sad for them. It's sad. You don't like to see, you don't like to see that level of hopium and copium. What you'd like to see is, fair play, best team in Europe. You know what I mean?
Which is
miles better than us.
Yeah.
They play way better football than us.
Which is exactly
it wasn't Rory Delap. It wasn't that.
You did a lot of long throws.
Throws all game.
But you know what, right?
You know what I mean? I don't care about the XG, by the way.
Right,
you know what I mean? We saw the game.
What I was... Listen, by the way, none of that talk came from me, right? Because I said even from the I said even from the last thing when Arteta said that thing about better, I said, no way. They were way better than us, right? However, we didn't get smashed up like what Inter
no one did. No,
right?
that was
and the only thing I said, right? The only thing I said, I didn't go thing. I was just saying it to a couple of people on the night, Spurs fans. I'm like, yo, it's a little bit different when you got to play them in a semi-final to Bodo Glimt. That's all I said.
That's a very valid point.
And that is a very valid point. So when people come down and say, yeah, you blew it, you bottled it, you think, and then you see, and it's not a copium thing for me because that's what you got. That's the standard.
That's the standard, yeah.
That's the standard of the competition that you're going to have to beat. But all I was just saying just reminding a couple of Spurs fans is that as good as it is that you've won a trophy, instead of just be comparison all the time, look at, because you're going to have that next year.
Yeah, the levels are different.
That's what you got to get past.
They got that in the
semi.
Super Cup.
Yeah, you ain't going...
Ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Let's see how they do.
That's the standard. It's not Bodo Glimt. That's the only point I was trying to make. But at the end of the day...
as much XG as Arsenal, Tottenham, that is your challenge.
Actually, and actually, you know the other thing, we did create a lot of shots.
Good question.
We created
Donnarumma made some big saves.
Donnarumma had to make in both games had to make a lot of brilliant saves. So
does it make you
they're
feel
good, man? They are very, very good side up, And I think it's good for football that they've won it.
Does it make you feel a bit more at ease knowing that the team knocked you out went on to win it?
Not really. Because I actually look on it and think to myself, if we would have won that, man,
we lost to...
Well, I mean, we went out...
You look at it. That's how I was looking at it the other way. I was looking at it thinking, boy, man, we'd have got
if Darwin
to that
Núñez
final.
didn't take that penalty, we'd probably be European champions.
That Inter I saw there, man.
You would have loved that.
We would have beaten them. That's what I was thinking, more than... But listen, you can't really look at it. I just look at it and think that they deserve to win it. Actually, did you see as well that they're making a rule change for next? So this is something that I said on the show. Some people thought it was being sour, and it wasn't, because it is what it is, what we was in. But they're changing the rules next season, and I can't believe that the oversight on this, where if you finish in that top 8, I think didn't happen. I'm not sure if it happened to you guys as well, but if you finish in the top 8, the second leg is at your home place, right? So I thought it was a bit ridiculous for Arsenal that we finished third and we had to play Real Madrid away in the second leg, and then followed up by again playing PSG away in the second leg, which they've realised.
So you're saying you should always play the home game second in every single round?
What they're saying is what they're going to do from now on is the teams that finish in the top 8, they get the second leg away, and then if it comes where they're playing each other, so let's just say we'd have played Barcelona.
Yeah.
Barcelona finished higher than us, they finished second. Or say we'd have played Liverpool, then they get the second leg away. The team that finishes higher...
all the way to the end.
Which is what they should have done in the first place.
But I don't like the revisionism. Like it's not
revisionism.
A brand new format, and they're going, actually, we'll change it here.
No, but I think they've realised that's an error,
we finished
isn't
top and had to play PSG. They finished 15th.
No, but that can happen. But I think that's something that can happen just as draw, innit? But I think... And nobody expected them to finish in that position. Just like we wouldn't have expected to play Real Madrid that early. Yeah. But the thing is about it is that how can it be that what's the reward for finishing in the top 8 if you then got to play 2 legs away in the quarterfinal and semi-final? It's a bit ridiculous. So at least they've realised that and they're going to change it.
It's an incentive now, isn't it?
They're going to change. Yeah, and it's an incentive to finish high, isn't it?
Take it seriously. Yeah.
Let me do some super chats. SYM says, what happened, AGT? Kelleher and Harvey Elliott for Wirtz.
Yeah.
AGT, you walk in... Well, I'm not going to say that. Not going to say that bit either. Fate, not going to say that bit either.
I don't even know.
But, yeah,
Strange person he is, whoever said that.
You'll sacrifice Kelleher and
Well,
Elliot for Wirtz, innit?
Kelleher's going to Brentford for 12.5 mil, up to 18 mil with add-ons, which I think on the balance of it, you'd say, well, that's not enough money. You know, I think they were quoted to be asking for Kelleher for around 40 mil last year, Chelsea. That's the quote we gave them. He's got 1 year left, but the kind of ripple effect of this transfer is if Flecken goes to buy Leverkusen for 10 mil, they get a goalkeeper. Obviously, Kelleher goes to Brentford, and then that allows us to get Wirtz potentially at a cut deal with a player added into the deal. So it could potentially be Quansah or Elliott in that deal. But I don't think we should be paying 150 million euros for him. That's where you use a player as a make weight.
130 euros is what.
No, but they want 150.
Yeah, but is he worth 130?
Me and Doyle were
It's a
just
lot,
speaking about it on Hot Topics. We
That
said
works
the
out
most
to
we
be
would
about
do is probably
110 million, isn't it?
The most we would do
Pounds.
is probably, well, we offered 109, didn't we? And I'd say that's pretty much as high as I would go. I mean, he's a very good player, obviously, but it's not just him we need. We need a new striker. We need a new centre-back if Quansah leaves. So there's work to be done, but obviously we are cracking on and getting amongst it early doors, which is always nice to see.
Okay. King Chaos says Uncle Inter got whooped by their nephews. Kenya says, imagine finishing the season with nothing and mocking LFC over Trent and maybe Wirtz. Maybe Wirtz, right? So you're saying I'm mocking something over maybe that ain't even happened yet, right? Don Robbie, I cannot wait till next season's deflections. I'm not deflecting anything. What, I'm not allowed to say nothing about it. Right? Bro, I say what I want, right? The Kenyan gamer says Vitinha is a healthy Lavia for Chelsea. Lavia's a good player.
Listen,
I
I have
like
no worries about our midfielders as long as everybody's fit.
Yeah. King Chaos says also, who do you think has been the MVP panel member of the season? Ooh, maybe you guys vote on that. Sully Griffin says, is Chelsea going to regret not making a bid for Kelleher? No, I'm surprised you lot didn't go in for him. I mean,
they were sniffing around last year,
wouldn't that be a good signing for Chelsea?
I don't think we need to. We don't need him. Just purely.
Sanchez.
No, I know. It's not about Sanchez. It's about Petrovic at Strasbourg. He's had a great season. He's probably been the best keeper in France. He's we signed a lot of goalkeepers. Everybody reminds us. So we need to look inwards and just make sure that we're not just gonna miss out on someone that we actually already have, and then turn around and say, "Damn, we actually just sold our solution." So I'm happy to see what Petrovic does at the Club World Cup. Let's assess him. Make sure that that we actually look in before we go and buy again. And we got Penders as well, who's young, Belgium goalkeeper, who could be going on loan as well. Jorgensen, I'm not convinced after this season. It's not been a great showing from him when he's had the opportunities.
Reminds me a bit of like Mignolet.
Yeah, it's just
like he'll make a really
fragile.
good camera save, but then
and Sanchez,
Sanchez,
I'm not.
Sanchez,
I'm not.
I mean, Kelleher is so much better than Sanchez.
Yeah, but you guys were always talking to me about 40 millions and all this, and now look, you saw
last year, but last year it was that, but now it's last year of his deal, so take a little cut.
Listen, he's a good goalkeeper.
He deserves to be a number one. He actually, Rob, I saw this stat earlier just before you move on. Quivin Kelleher has the highest win rate of any goalkeeper to make 50-plus appearances for Liverpool ever. Higher than Alisson.
I'm not surprised he's
unbelievable.
No disrespect to Brentford, I was there on Saturday. They treated me really well, but I would have thought you'd have gone higher.
He's guaranteed starting.
Which club, though?
Villa are looking for a keeper.
Yeah, that's
right.
Shout.
Villa could have actually
he'd
gone
be a
for
good
him.
signing there. I still think
that's probably the only one.
You've got
Actually,
someone at Chelsea,
it's probably Villa,
but definitely Villa, isn't it?
Yeah, Villa's a shout because Martinez is probably going. So
yeah. Daniel says, AGT, I still think that Wirtz will end up at Liverpool.
Yeah,
he already said that he only wants to play for Liverpool, and the Premier League should be worried of Salah-Wirtz duo. That'd be a good duo. Sonny says, hey, Robbie, congrats on winning We Lost the Champions League trophy, adding to your We Beat Madrid trophy and runners-up trophy. Can you show us how it looks? Looks like a bottle with Arsenal written on it. Biggest bottle jobs in Europe. Yes, we really, when you see PSG, that does look like a bottle job, don't you? Clara Bitsy says, Robbie, at the start of the season, you were adamant that Arteta was the second best manager in the Premier League. Do you stand by that now that Slot has surpassed him? Well, based off of last season, he was second best in the league.
And again.
JC says, but Arsenal beat them in the group stage. Yeah, we did. Next one says, Bilal says, Robbie, can I clap your...
Yeah, this Bilal guy was
Hey,
chatting.
Bilal, what's going on, man?
No, he was doing it on Saturday. He
Sebastian
was saying some mad
says-
stuff, this guy.
Sebastian says, I
Keep
mean,
your mouth
Liverpool will be willing to pay up, so gets your hopes down, Robbie. Listen, I think Liverpool.
Oh, we've not spent any money.
I think Liverpool will. Listen, when you get a player, I don't care what Leverkusen is saying. When you get a player who's adamant that that's where he wants to go, he's
Player
going.
power,
I
innit?
mean, they might, hustle around for a few weeks for the price, but he wants to go there. They would probably buy a Leverkusen would probably have loved a bidding war between you guys and Man City.
But they pulled out.
But
They're
City
going to
have
get
pulled out.
Shirky.
To be honest,
Player
City,
wants to go to.
City don't really do bidding wars anyway. Like,
Yeah.
if
Neither do we, apart from the Lavia, the Caicedo
Caicedo
thing.
situation,
We
yeah.
never did that
I think
ever.
whatever Liverpool pay them is as much as they were going to get.
And also,
Real Madrid don't
it's
pay
also-
fees, and at this point as well, they love freebies. So.
I heard something that Leverkusen weren't happy that we were allowed to get Frimpong for so cheap, but that's your fault.
That's not your
Yeah,
problem.
put the release clause up, bro. And obviously Frimpong's best mates with
So are they
Wirtz.
trying to
So
claim?
they're like
Are
doing
they
a
trying
little-
to claim back some of the Frimpong money? Through
Yeah,
Wirtz?
but like, come on, bro. You should have got your numbers up then. It's not our fault we got him for 29.5. Like,
maybe that's what Real Madrid fans were saying to you about Trent.
K-Frash1 says, Robbie, if you were competing, challenging, whatever you want to call it, will your benchmark be one trophy in 6 years for a manager? Medical Bunker says, Kelleher, Flecken, Moose feel part of the Wirtz package. What will Wirtz bring to Liverpool?
it gives us a different option. I think with Soboslai, what we've had is massive pressing, massive energy, covering as well. A lot of defensive work that actually goes under the radar. He just offers you something a little bit different. Similar to the way that Marmoush has come in at City. Was he going to be that out-and-out kind of creative player? He's still got to do a bit of dirty work and help back it in the midfield at the top of that base. But yeah, I think he offers something. He offers creativity, and I think actually if he comes in, it probably is the end of the road for Harvey Elliott in terms of he's quicker than Harvey. He gets more goals and assists. He's obviously starting, every game pretty much for Germany as well. And he is one of the top players in Europe at the minute. So obviously the homework's been done. I think Liverpool wanted to buy him in 2020 when Michael Edwards was last at the club. So they've had their eye on him for a while, and they believe that he's worth that money. I mean, it's not like us to really ever, throw this money down on someone. So if he comes in, amazing. But that's definitely not the end of the work that we need to do. But creative, quick, strong, likes a goal from range, assists.
So what's the midfield? What's the midfield then for next season, Liverpool? As it stands,
tough one.
who drops out? Is it McAllister or is it Soboslai? Because
I'd say neither. I'd say obviously this is a massive upgrade on Jones.
Gravenberch.
Nah, you can't drop either.
So what would be the free?
But
for
could
me,
play
I
on
would-
the left though as well.
For me, I would actually. It's funny because I don't think they'll do this, but I think this Liverpool team that's been built looks perfect for a diamond. Really does. Like you look at the work, like you said, the coverage of Szoboszlai, you're going to need that with Frimpong at right back.
Yeah.
You're still going to need that same, due diligence, defensive work rate. You can't drop Gravenberch after the incredible season he's had in the six. And McAllister's brilliant as well. He's had a great season. I think Florian Wirtz, in fact, give him the freedom to actually play in the front three, not necessarily have to do loads of defensive work because of the bodies that you got in midfield. And you're almost going back to like a Klopp 4-3-3, obviously not the same style, but the same kind of, maybe lineup. And you don't have a striker right now, like that you can rely on. Jota's always injured. Nunes has got to go.
Yeah, he's
so
going.
you've got like Gakpo and Diaz, and for me, they're like perfect inside forwards from the left. Salah's an inside forward off the right. You don't want him getting all the way back in that 4-4-2 defensive shape they used to do. So I think it all sorts itself out, especially with the fullbacks, Kirkes and Frimpong just giving you the width. I'll go with a diamond, and
It gives us options.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the time this season, we've played a Robertson, we've played a Tsimikas, we've played a Connor, we've played a Trent. We've just upgraded on the options that we have available from the bench now. So Florian Wirtz, he obviously is desperate for the move. There's allegedly a private jet leaving Manchester today at 3 o'clock that's due to arrive into Nuremberg at 5:48, which is where the German national team are training right now. So I think Liverpool mean business on this one. They're going to go over there and try and get this wrapped up as soon as
I
possible.
think it will get wrapped up.
Yeah, I think it'll get wrapped
100%.
up. By the way, the Champions League team of the year, this was it. It was Donnarumma in goal. I don't think anyone can argue with that. He's been
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
some
That's
of the
fair.
saves he made.
Yeah.
And then at the back, Hakimi.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Marquinhos.
Yeah.
Bastoni.
I mean, not at the
Pacho
final.
might.
Bastoni did have
very
it.
good as well.
Conceded 5 goals in
Yeah.
the final.
Yeah. Nuno Mendes.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant player.
Definitely.
Vitinha in the midfield,
Yeah.
moving to the midfield. Declan Rice.
No.
What?
I think you just put the whole of PSG's midfield in. It's pretty much the whole of
Declan
PSG's
Rice is
team.
in there, man. In the
What,
Champions
'cause
League,
of
he
2
was
free kicks?
not just because of 2 free kicks. He was brilliant right throughout the whole thing. He was brilliant right throughout. He's the only English player actually to make it.
I'd have Vitinha or João Neves over him.
Well, I wouldn't. Declan Rice is
Well,
in there, and they
obviously you
said
wouldn't.
the expert said Rice is in there.
Oh, you're an expert.
So
are you?
I am. Declan Rice. Declan Rice is in there.
Self-proclaimed.
All right. Left wing, Rafinha.
Yep,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Right wing, Yamal.
Makes sense.
Fair.
No Salah.
And then Dembele through the middle.
And then Doué and Dembele. So that's the
Oh, okay.
So like
So they've
4-4-2.
got like a 4-4-2.
yeah. That's sort of, yeah.
I can't really
Can't argue with that team.
disagree with that. I mean, the team
Player
that
of the
wins it,
tournament.
Player of the tournament.
probably Rafinha.
Rafinha statistically has smashed it on every single
Rafinha or
metric.
Dembele for me.
Yeah, Rafinha.
But do you know what?
I think it's Rafinha and Dembele.
could-
You
you
could
could
ask
even
it.
argue-
Doué's been brilliant.
Yeah,
What,
but he's
and
come
Yamal.
through a bit more late.
Yeah.
You could even argue Hakimi and Donnarumma have got a shout to win the Ballon d'Or. You could. Treble winners. Donnarumma obviously won the Euros last year.
Nah, not for me.
Who
I
wins the
think
Ballon
there's too
d'Or?
many-
Hakimi's
and
up
I know
there,
it's
though,
attacker
for me.
bias, but there's actually too many
Scored in
attackers
the
that
final
are
as well.
competing for this for me. I know,
Who wins
but-
that Ballon d'Or for you then?
I think it's now between Dembele and Rafinha. Even though, listen, I don't put any weight on this prize or competition, whatever you want to call it, the Ballon d'Or. We've seen players that in the past definitely should have won it. I go back to Thierry
Hold
Henry.
on a minute. You don't put no weight on it. You've been talking all season.
No, you've been
You
asking
want
me
to
all
see
season.
Salah.
You've
Salah's
been asking me all
nailed
season.
on.
No, I
Remember
never
one
said
time
that.
there's on this show there was a guy who said, "What about Dembele?" And you said, "Nah." And we said to you, "Hold on, right? Wait, because you don't know what's going to happen in the Champions League and all those sort of things." Remember,
Dembele's above Salah now comfortably.
Well, you say that.
He's won the
Goals and
treble.
assists, Salah
know, but
and
he's won the
Rafinha,
Champions
61
League.
each. That's the top. Minutes per goal, Salah's the top of that. Big goals and assists, Salah's top of that.
Sorry.
But this isn't how. This is why I don't put
apologise.
weight on this
Treble.
competition.
I hear that, but I apologise. He's
But
played
you're not listening to
semi-final,
me. You're not listening to me.
decisive, important
I'm
figure in
agreeing
the
with
Champions
you.
League
Salah
semi-final.
won't win it.
In a final.
Salah won't win it. But
You
I'm
think-
saying, like,
So you think he should
He's
win it?
top of every statistic
That-
in
that's-
the season.
That's wonderful.
But this is why I don't put weight on this. This is why this. I mean, look, Vinny didn't even turn up to it. I mean,
yeah, Vinny.
integrity of
yeah,
this.
I mean, that's Real
this-
Madrid and that's Vinny and
Like
that's
Pavel
Perez.
Nedved won it over Thierry Henry in 2003.
don't bring.
I
Thierry.
don't really care about
Come
it that
on.
much. I'll be honest.
Neither do I. I
Yeah,
genuinely don't.
it really
care.
doesn't bother me.
Well,
Doesn't-
you've been going on for it a lot of times this season. You've been mentioning it, saying how Salah's going
No,
to win it.
you've been asking me,
No,
will Salah
you've
win
been
it all season?
You've been mentioning
It's
it
the other
even
way. It's
without
not-
me asking you.
My top three would be Dembele, Rafinha, Yamal in any order. I think you can make an argument for any of them to win it.
But let's
But
not forget.
I had Yamal until Dembele won this Champions League. I had
At what
Yamal.
point did you rule Salah out? When we
they
went
got
out of
knocked
the
out
Champions League?
Yeah, when you got knocked out because you can't get knocked out of the Champions League.
That's
quarterfinal.
that was with me as well. I said that
If you-
at the time.
if you-
Up until then,
Yeah.
he was leading.
If you had at least got to even the semis, but you can't.
Yeah,
can't go
yeah. I
out
think
the
if you get
quarters.
to the semis, you're still in
And
it.
his form did fall off a little bit.
And his
after
form
that.
Yeah,
fell
he
off,
had it,
yeah.
yeah.
But then it's a
But
bit
look how
unfair
far
on
ahead
him
he was
because
to
I
still
think he
be
won
top.
the league already. There weren't much else to pay
Do you know
for,
what's
so he
really
just
unfair on him? The other
chilled.
forwards not finishing the chances that he creates.
Bro.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
amount of assists that he
Oh
got
my
robbed off
God.
this season
Yeah.
is insane.
Nunez, Diaz,
Listen,
Gakpo.
he deserves an honourable mention, but I think because of how early he went out in the Champions League, it's got to go to one of them. I think I've got to give it to Dembele, man.
It's fair.
Just you know,
Treble.
Also, no one was expecting PSG to win the Champions League.
Mm.
He's been the spearhead. He's won the treble. Even like people thought, well, they still thought they'd win the league but not as easy as they did.
Yeah.
I think you've got to give it to him. He's just come from nowhere this season. It's not that he's a come from nowhere player because he's had big expensive moves, but what he did this year.
I think
We saw the Dembele that everybody's been waiting to see for years on years, and I think he deserves to win it.
I don't know if the Euros of last summer comes into it. It probably doesn't. Maybe it doesn't count. I don't know.
No.
But because that's why Yamal gets a little bit of a boost from it as well.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think the El Clasicos for Rafinha and Yamal, give them a little bit of a helping hand. Because obviously when you're PSG,
Profile,
who are you really going up against in that league? Like, you're just smashing everyone, really.
Yeah.
But that Real Madrid Barca, 4 times they beat them this season. Every single game, those two turned up and just dunked on them. So I think that gives them a little bit of help as well.
Yeah, I'd go Dembele. Would you go?
It's tough, man. I'd go Dembele. Just about.
Yeah, I'd probably just edge Dembele just because of the way he's just won it. He was brilliant in the final as well.
Second?
I've got a bit of a bias to Yamal. I know Rafinha maybe has been just as important, but Yamal...
Salah's got to be in the top 3, though.
No, he doesn't.
He's not, like, falling off that much.
I'll go Yamal second, Rafinha third, and Salah fourth.
I think I agree with that. Salah's only in that 4. He would have been higher if they'd have done better in the Champions
Most
League.
assists in the Prem, most goals in the Prem, player of the season in the Premier League.
Yeah, but what about La Liga? What about best player in La Liga?
No, and that's why I've just said, like, you know, Rafinha's definitely
Didn't
got a
make
big
that.
shout, but
I
for
think
me.
a telltale sign of that is he didn't make that team of the Champions
You only
League
get
team.
in that team unless you get into a semi, really, don't you? At
Yeah,
least
so
a
that's
semi.
what we're
you
saying,
get in that
because
team.
he went out so early. I
Yeah.
think that's what's affected him.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he would. Yeah, listen, he's been unbelievable.
One for the future, though, is definitely Kvaratskhelia to win that in 2 to 3 years.
You think so?
Yeah.
Win a
definitely.
Ballon d'Or, yeah?
Yeah. I
I'm
think
not
he
sure.
goes
I think
to.
Yamal could.
I think he
think
goes
Yamal's
to a
got
next
to clean
level.
up.
He could be cleaning up.
I think Yamal could be cleaning up for a few years. That Doué, by the way,
Yeah.
he's some player as well.
Yeah.
Scary.
I do like the little bits of skill that he tries as well. He's
Did you know when you looked at their goals? Do you not think Sommer could have done a bit better?
That's what I
for a few
thought as
goals
well.
there?
Hey, you know what?
on
That's what I said.
Doué's goal,
Near
his
post
second,
as well,
Yeah,
like
about
three of them.
3 goals near post,
should've
man.
done-
I was
yeah, he
like,
should've
yo,
done
man,
better.
what's this guy? How's everything just going near post?
And do you
near
know
post?
what?
And
He
he
was
played
brilliant.
so
He was
well in the semi.
brilliant in
Yeah.
the semi-final against Yamal.
That's the
Brilliant.
same
I
thing
don't know,
I
man.
said, you know. I was like, yo.
You got to be saving a
I
few.
said,
there,
yo,
bro.
I've got near post. What's going on?
If I was a defender, I'd be like, yo, any help?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Get down a bit quicker.
Back to
true,
the
it's
super
true.
chats. MB Tai, my Tai says, Frimpong fee in Bayern is Bayern's fault.
Exactly.
Keep that energy for Trent. Funny how things more clearly when you're not crying. You see things more clearly when you're not crying, I think you're going to say.
Cool.
Bilal's back. He wants to clap your ones now. Right, AGT. I think, what's up with him
Why are you
today?
reading that one out, man? I feel like Ty
Right.
now. Why are you reading that out, Robbie? That's a disgrace. No,
handsome-
Bilal needs to
Bilal
chill
says,
now. I can't
looking
lie.
handsome, Rob. Listen, I don't know what's going on here, man.
He was saying all
Right.
this madness on Saturday as well. It was annoying me.
Thomas Partey to Barca. Here we go. Any worries, Rob? I've seen those rumours. I still think he'll stay at Arsenal.
Did you
But
do that on Transfer Daily today?
I did do it on Transfer
Nice.
Daily today, but they are looking. Barcelona apparently sat down with his contract's up, so he can decide to go where he wants. But I reckon he might stay. Prince Brandon says controversial opinion, but Wirtz will disappoint. He had serious leg problems like Calafiori. Pace and physicality of the league will hamper his output.
Listen, when you're paying that much money for a player, instantly the spotlight is on you to deliver absolutely as quick as possible. The last time, we sold a player for that amount of money, look what happened with Felipe Coutinho. So he can't decide. It's not his fault that the fee that Leverkusen are holding out for. He's almost saying to them, like, look, come on, man, just agree it, let me go. The longer it goes on and the more pressure gets added to this fee, then it's a
The more
big
chance we have of the potential of this not going
you
through.
can hope for that.
Bayer Leverkusen, am I right? They're in the Club World Cup.
I don't
Bayern
think
Munich
they are
definitely
because of
Bayern Munich
the
are.
Champions League performances. I don't know where that would come from.
Just have to double check that because
And also, they
surely
didn't win the
won't.
Europa.
think they are,
No,
yeah.
I don't think they are.
All right, Nico says, how is Rafinha not player of the tournament? Champions League top scorer, top assister, most chances created and most big chances created.
Who's that?
And made the semi-finals too, Rafinha.
Yeah,
I think it was because we're just edging Dembele because he won it.
yeah, that's the difference.
Who wins African Player of the Year? Salah versus Hakimi versus Osimhen, says Ibichu.
It can't be Osimhen, I'm afraid, in Turkish league.
Hey,
It has to be Salah.
Hey.
African Player of the Year.
Yeah, Salah.
Hakimi.
Hakimi's obviously got
been-
a big shout.
Salah.
Hakimi's won the treble. You just spoke about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Salah scored 34
How good a seasons
goals.
he's
though.
had.
He scored 34
I know,
goals.
but he's-
I'd still go Salah.
He's got 61 goals and assists this season. Bro.
Yeah, he's.
Come on.
I'd
Yeah,
go
but-
Salah.
There's nothing to be sniffed at.
Hakimi's won it all.
I hear that. But
do
right,
also
right,
hear
won
right
the
back,
Champions
right
League.
back.
right back's
and he
easier
sco-
to play than.
So
than-
hang on, right
than-
backs
No, but
can
hold
win
on.
carry a
Ballon
whole
d'Ors then.
attack.
Hold
Don't
on,
they?
he scored in the final.
Tapping.
He scored in the semi-final.
Didn't even
He scored
celebrate.
against the
Didn't
semi-final
even
against
celebrate.
us.
The fact that he didn't celebrate is why he's not getting it.
Game's
Yeah,
gone.
the opening goal. Right, so
He only
he's
played there
not
for a
just
season as well.
his defending, scored goals, won the Champions League, won the league.
I
won the
hear
cup.
it, but
Boy, hey, listen, that's
I
not a
hear it.
foregone.
I hear it, but he.
And I can tell you this: in Africa, they love Hakimi as well.
I'm sure they
absolutely
love Salah
him.
as well.
They love Salah, but they love Hakimi
You know,
equally.
He could have played for Spain, Hakimi. He was born
Yeah,
in Madrid.
Yeah, for me,
And,
it's
and Osimhen, you say that, but he's won the league
How many goals?
in Turkey, top goal scorer. I think he scored about 30 odd goals. If you can check
yeah,
it.
but he's meant to do that.
yeah.
He has, but
If he's asking
you've
for
got to
free,
get on.
if he's asking for 350k a week from all these European clubs, he's better be scoring 30
But
goals. in
do you
Turkey.
think he gets the respect he deserves because he won the league at Napoli,
No, he's a top,
scores goals,
top striker?
scores loads of goals, goes on loan. Remember,
Yeah.
a lot of players go on loan. You
Yeah.
haven't got your big move. You've gone on loan to Galatasaray. You'd be sulking.
26 goals.
26 goals,
No,
league
fair.
goals.
It's good professionalism from him to go there and stick it out. And also, it's
Definitely
very,
a big candidate.
I think it's
for
very
it.
difficult to not play for those supporters because they've literally taken him in. That is, I think it was his daughter speaking on the tannoy.
He's not going to stay there, is he?
No, he's not going to stay there.
Yeah.
Listen, he's a great striker, especially right now where we don't have a lot of great strikers like we used to in 10 years, 15 years ago, where there was like maybe 10 world-class strikers. There's not that now. So
He's out and out, isn't he?
but no one's got him yet because of those wages. So at some point, you're either going to have to go to Saudi or you're going to have to lower those wages. So let's see.
Okay, Amajay says Yamal won 3 domestic trophies and will soon dunk on France and Dembele again, winning his 4th trophy of the season. Is that the
Club World Cup.
Club World Cup?
How
And
are
aren't
ticket
they
sales
still in?
going
Aren't
for
they
Club
still
World Cup?
also in the what is it? What's that? No, what do they call it again? Nations League.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we still doing that?
Stephen Ireland's grandmother says, "Where's the Serie A MVP in the Ballon d'Or debate?"
Serie A MVP.
Well, who would that be?
Who was that?
Lukaku for Napoli?
Lautaro Martinez. Was it?
Martinez.
McTominay.
Well, Martinez didn't have a shot in the Champions League final.
McTominay.
He's not
yeah.
winning no Ballon d'Or.
Definitely not.
Was it McTominay? Rishabi says, AGT, who wins more trophies in the next 5 years? The Chelsea or the Arsenal project?
Chelsea.
Okay. AG says, City. I disagree.
Of course
I
you do.
disagree.
Of course you do.
I'd
You
expect
have
it.
to. You
Yeah.
must. You have to believe.
Start winning some trophies then.
Adja says, City is buying 8 Nuri,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Cherki and Reinders for under 150 million euros instead of Wirtz. In the
Cherki's
present scenario, is that smart by City?
Cherki's a bargain. But what I will say is Wirtz off the ball physically is going to actually probably be a bit more instant in terms of the Premier League, whereas Cherki is it's a liability off the ball. So now, because Pep's team's always pressed, so now what's going to be really interesting is Pep going to force Cherki to press, which I don't think is going to go very well. Is he going to build a team where Cherki doesn't have to and he can be a free man, or is he going to turn Cherki into a robot? I'm very interested to see how this goes. As
And
much
they've got
I-
Marmoush as well, so
yeah, you got Mamouche, so I
Is he
like
gonna play
Cherki
every
a lot. Cherki's gifted.
and they'll get him at a good price.
Great
I think that's
price.
really smart business buying all of them for under 150.
And they're
However,
gonna-
let's not
they'll be
pretend
selling
that.
Grealish and people like that.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
they bought Grealish for 100. We bought McAllister, Soboslai, and Gravenberch
Shouldn't
for
have put
probably
Szoboszlai in there. You
120.
ruined it. Szoboszlai was
Okay.
expensive.
Gravenberch and McAllister then.
Fitz says, Don Robbie, the king of moving the goalposts. And Aya says, the Champions League final was a good indicator of how weak Serie A is, which goes back to the fact that Osimhen is overhyped. He's not. I don't think he is overhyped.
I need
really
to see him
don't.
in the Prem, though.
I'd love to see him in the Prem. I
wanna
think he'd
see
do
him
well
in
in the Prem. In the right team, he'd do well in the Prem.
I think
he'd
he's
suit
made for
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yeah, I want
I
him.
think he's
I
suit
do. I want him
Chelsea.
at Chelsea.
Delap
Right.
and Osimhen.
Yeah,
Would that work?
I'd be very happy with that. Well, Delap would be on the bench, and he would come on as a
That's why he didn't go to Newcastle, though, because he didn't want to be on the bench.
I think if Delap wants guaranteed starts, then he shouldn't be asking for Champions League football. If you want guaranteed starts, go to Brentford, go
You've
and
only
replace
had one season
Mbeumo.
in the Prem.
Yeah, go and replace Mbeumo at Brentford, and then get your guaranteed starts there.
All right, let's look at some of the transfer news that's flying around at the moment and get your opinions on it. First of all, Manchester United confirming that they signed Mateus Cunha. Is that a good signing for Manchester United?
Technically, he's raising the floor of the team. I don't know about off the pitch because obviously he was kicking up a little bit at Wolves. Last thing Man United needed someone to rattle the cages.
Yeah.
But he's a very good player. He suits the system. Inside 10, you can see exactly where he's going to play. Whip those shots into the far corner. Man United are so bad that it's very difficult to not come in and improve that team, especially that attack. So it's a good signing. It's a lot more needs to be done. So, and he's expensive. 60 million release clause. Not like they negotiated that. So I don't know how much money they even got left, to be honest. Let's see.
This signing just shows you how bad their transfer window last summer was. The fact that they felt the need now to go in again and buy another striker when Xerxes and Højlund have obviously failed miserably.
He's
They're
kind of a
just
second
not good
striker.
He's not even a striker. He's
Not
a,
really
I
a
know,
striker.
but that again, you're trying to get help. You're trying to plaster over a crack that you should have done last year, but you bought the wrong players last year. So now one of them two has to go now, surely. Like Højlund's got to go.
Well, Højlund should be leaving anyway.
Yeah,
The way he's played this season.
But to where?
but Cunha's a good player
City
though.
up,
I remember
back
watching
to-
him for Atleti.
What loan?
Atalanta.
Yeah,
Well,
but
because remember, it's the amount of money they paid for him. What do you just sell him for
That's
peanuts and take a
their
heavy
version
loss?
of what we had with Kepa. You spent that money. It's clearly the wrong decision. Now you have to loan 10 million fees for the next 6 years and recoup it that way.
and they're still paying for Anthony
Jesus. All right, so
and a lot more.
all right, Nuri. You think that'd be a good signing for Man
Yeah,
City?
he's really
Yeah.
smart. I really like Nuri. I think between him and Kirkez, they were the two defenders that Liverpool or City were going to buy. If we didn't buy Kirkez, we probably would have got Nuri and vice versa for City. So, yeah, brilliant signing. He's very tidy. He's still young as well. He's only 23.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, and
thought he was old,
Kirkez
I
is even younger. So
Yeah.
they're probably the two. I mean, Cucurella's had a great season as well, but they're
been
in
a good
the
season
they're
for
in the
left
top
backs.
5 left backs in the league without question. Both of
Robinson's
them.
had a good season.
Yeah, Robinson started off well, didn't he?
Lewis
But-
Skelly.
Yeah.
Liam Delap having his medical today at Chelsea. Good signing.
Listen, it's smart business at 30 mil. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's a very good price for a striker, especially English tax, double digits at Ipswich. I think for my aspirations of winning or competing for leagues, I think it's probably too soon for him to ask him to do that. So you got to bring in an Osimhen, in my opinion, and have Delap back him up. That's
Then
what I would
What
want.
would happen to Jackson?
You'd sell Jackson then. You'd sell
Ooh.
Jackson.
After
Oh
1
no,
year?
you got to sell it.
2 years. 2 years.
Oh, is it 2 years
Yeah,
now?
you'd have to sell him. Like for me, the only striker we needed was a needle mover, Osimhen level. Comes in and you're going for golden boot. And because we haven't got that in Delap, we've brought in someone that is still developing, but he's got a lot. I think he's very well rounded. Like he seems to have like a lot of good attributes, intangibles. He's a bit of a shit house as well. So
Yeah.
you're kind of getting a little bit of everything. But I don't want to put crazy pressure on him immediately. So good signing, good start, but you need to put things around him to make it what it needs to be.
Got to get the formation right as well with Delap. Because he is, like you say, he throws his weight around, but in a good way. He's physical, he's almost like a throwback kind of bully striker. And again, comes from great stock at the Man City Academy. Was never going to get ahead of Haaland, but I think this is probably the next move for him. And he links up with Enzo Maresca again, who obviously had him at City, and Cole Palmer, Lavia.
It's a strong 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, Navin says scandalous from Arteta to be targeting Sesko over Gyökeres. He seems to be still trusting on Havertz, Martinelli for next season, hence no proven number 9. Well, Sesko is at number 9, isn't he? If it's indeed Sesko who he buys, we don't know that for sure yet. Abdul Gadir says, Robbie, if any other manager had been at a top 6 club for over 4 years, spent 700 million, and it's not 700 million, and still not won
750.
a single league or Champions League, would fans defend him in the same way they defend Arteta? Well, listen, Arteta's got a big season coming up ahead of him. And you also have to take into account the absolute mess that he inherited, right? That was never going to be easy. It's a bit like Man United now. In a few years' time, you can't just say that Amarin's had to have won everything, because that's a difficult thing. He's facing
The biggest rebuild ever.
what Arteta had, right? Where
Worse.
you basically, remember Arteta was actually, they had to pay players to leave.
Yeah.
Remember, they had to pay Aubameyang to leave, they had to pay Ozil to leave, Mustafi, all these guys. They had to pay
Gunnasaurus.
them because they were just not worth anything.
You had to
I
pay
think
off
Man
Gunnasaurus
United is
as
worse
well.
because the pressure is bigger, and also
Yeah, because a lot of these players at United, they've recently bought them.
and also
So it's
they
harder
don't
to
have
do-
as a good academy as you. Your academy is better
Yeah.
than theirs, so
Yeah.
they're gonna have to buy everything.
Clara
They're buying
Bixie says,
academy
Robbie, what are your
players now
thoughts
as
on
well.
Arteta overruling the director of football to sign Benjamin Sesko, who's not even scored 15 goals in the Bundesliga season? We don't know yet who's coming in. Let's wait and see. If it's personally, I want Gyökeres. That's what I want because I'm just looking at instant
Impact.
goals. Although Sesko is a very, very highly rated player that, all the experts are saying he's going to be better long term. The thing is, we ain't got long term.
You ain't got a long time.
We need
You
now.
need someone right
I think
now.
Sesko, I thought Chelsea would go for.
We were
Sesko.
apparently interested, but
yeah.
Delap 30 millions
Yeah,
instead of
Delap's
negotiating
similar,
for other fees this season.
Yeah.
What do you... I'm not reading that one. Right. Actually, on that, who do you reckon Arsenal should go for? Gyökeres or Sesko?
If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd definitely want Gyökeres over Sesko. Again, there are others out there that you could maybe throw a few quid at, see if they get tempted. I think the goals. I mean, before
Can't
this,
argue with the
he
goals,
already had he already played for Brighton, didn't he? And then went to Coventry.
Yeah.
He's been around the houses a little bit. I think he's in his prime right now, and you almost look at the Darwin Núñez case and think, I think Núñez scored 36 goals and then we signed him.
Yeah.
But
The
Sesko's
Portuguese
scoring
league.
like 60 though.
Yeah.
And
54 in all competitions
54 in all
last
comps.
season.
Gyökeres, you mean?
Yeah, sorry,
Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
If I was Arsenal, I wouldn't be getting either of them. I'd be getting Osimhen.
That's what I mean.
You say?
Yeah. I mean, you guys love the aerial thing, so Gyökeres doesn't really score headers.
Sesko does. I think that's why...
That might be why then you're going for him.
6'5", you know what I mean? Maybe, we do whip loads of balls into the box. There's never anyone there to get on the end of them. Maybe, you know, I don't know.
With how much you cross, like Gyökeres is just a bit of a strange move then, with how much you cross the ball into the box, but I don't know.
You just need that lethal finisher inside the 18-yard box.
Yeah. Clay, see, the thing is with a player like Sesko, it's this thing I was really thinking about it over the weekend. It's like, we all want the instant guy, but it's not always the instant guy that proves to be that.
It's true.
Because you only got to look at PSG, where they were always going for that instant guy, and it just ain't worked.
Yeah.
And then now they've got guys, listen, these are not duds days. They're still top players they've signed in, but they're not the way you wouldn't have looked on and said, right, he's not that superstar guy. He's a guy that potentially, and look what he's done. And they've got a lot of players like that. Kvaratskhelia, I think we all knew he was very, very good, but even better, what we've seen now.
That was a top signing for me.
That was a great signing. I mean, it wasn't a cheap signing.
That was...
But it would be, if you were
Serie A
looking...
as well.
Yeah, the fact that no one else moved for him was a
But if you're
disgrace.
looking at left wingers, you probably could put like a 4 or 5... Before they sign him, you could probably put like 4 names above him, innit?
Yeah.
Where you probably say, right, but look, he's become...
If you're including Mbappe,
He's above all of those now.
Vinny. But he's always, I mean, he won the Serie A with
Yeah.
Osimhen. He was incredible that season.
Yeah.
They had like a telepathy. So
Claver's saying here, Matisse, be careful what you wish for. Osimhen is not the striker Chelsea needs. Rather Delap with 12 goals in the Premier League than Osimhen with 20-plus goals in Turkey. Look at how Palmer turned out. Again, Palmer, not the obvious
I mean,
guy, but
the reason why I'm saying,
Osimhen's got listen, he did it in Serie A as well.
and he was playing for Lille. We played against him in the Champions League in the group stage. I think maybe Lampard was coaching that season. I think it was the season after the Cobham guys came through. But listen, he's gone to 3 different countries now. He's done very well in all of them. And the thing is with him, maybe why people think I'm so stuck on him right now, is just purely because I've seen my team not compete in open play aerially all season. Anytime we cross the ball, it's a pointless exercise. Unless it's Cucurella coming in, from left back, it's a pointless exercise. And I just don't like how limited we are to not even be able to score a single header in open play. It's just ridiculous. So I just need that part of the team sorted.
Goal the other day, it wasn't even a header.
It hit his chest.
Came off his chest.
Bro, it hit his left nipple, bro.
He tried to head it, but it ended up coming off his neck or something.
Palmer basically booted it off him.
Mike says, a genuine question, Rob. Are you still trusting the process with Arteta 5 years in? Well, listen, you have to, but he has to win something next year. Rishab says, panel's thoughts on Estevao, another Chelsea.
Yeah, he's talented, man.
Is he going to be
extremely
coming
exciting
this season?
Yeah, he's coming in after the Club World Cup. I think he's doing that with Palmeiras, I think. Then he'll be here with us next season. Incredibly, exciting prospect, but coming over to a new country, new language, new league, very young. So we have to give him a bit of time. But he looks exciting. I just see how it goes when he gets here, because it's very difficult to kind of translate that game straight over here, and with all the outside factors, you don't know what you're gonna get.
Do you guys think, right, with PSG winning the Champions League, right, that teams are gonna look at that now and start switching it up a bit? Because we've been saying it for a long time on this show, this season, that it's all very robotic at the moment. City very robotic, Arsenal very robotic. Even at times, Liverpool were a bit robotic. I know, obviously, they've got the excitement of Salah. That, you know, Chelsea for a while were playing a bit like that, apart from your Cole Palmer. Do you think that they might look on at some of these managers and think, you know what, time to have a bit more about us, like a bit more Mavericks in the team? Maybe that's why City are buying Cherky. I don't know. Do you think it could? Because certainly, though, like you said, the way that, you know, and I saw it from PSG, the first 20 minutes of that game, and we played them. I was like, yeah, where are they? I mean, you know, they're all over the place, you know what I mean? But I'd love to see that excitement come in a bit more.
Great.
I remember Arsenal 2 seasons ago were very exciting the way they played.
Go back to Wenger, the way he played.
Yeah.
Well.
I just think I haven't seen a more balanced team than PSG in a long time. When I say that, the defence is obviously, you've got Marquinhos there, who's been there for 12 years. Patro, who's incredible. The fullbacks are unbelievable. The goalkeeper's unbelievable. Fabian Ruiz, what a season he's had, by the way. He almost got written off when he left Napoli. He had to kind of almost build up his status all over again. And that's the midfield. João Neves, again, super young. He's going to be there for years and years. Vitinha, who obviously has got some Premier League experience, but the interchangeability of the strikers, I think that's what maybe you're referring to in terms of the exciting. It's so exciting to watch.
Yeah, but even Vitinha's like, he has a license to roam,
gets
doesn't he?
up and down.
So
I would like to see more teams play like PSG.
It depends on
You need the personnel, though.
Depends on the coaches, and it depends on who's being developed in academies, because you can get an academy coach who's trying to almost, you know, force you to kind of be very rigid and do this, do that, do this, do that. Or you can get academy coaches that kind of like get you to express yourself and encourage you to be free and play off the cuff. And so it all depends. It has to go. I think the game goes in waves, right? You get like a group of players that come through where you get excitement and you get inspiration, and you get maybe phases where you don't get that. And so let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. More
super chats here. Mo says Arteta is the most protected manager of this century and deserves more criticism. 0 trophies in 5 years after spending 7. These guys got a real agenda against
building
Arteta.
is very tall.
What's your
TT
team?
said.
Sully says Rashford to Barca. Building is getting very tall. Claver, Matisse, I'll raise you Lukaku if you're using the he's played in so many leagues already argument. We just won the title in Serie A.
If Lukaku
so did McTominay.
Wasn't such a problem, he would have been a success at Chelsea probably. He just needs to be a bit more patient. He messed that up himself.
Yeah,
that interview.
He just needs to be more patient.
No return after that.
Callum says if Arteta wins the Carabao Cup, does he start? I think he needs more than a Carabao Cup. Prince,
you need at least the Premier League
Brandon
or at least
says,
the Champions League.
Called it 2 to 3 years ago with Baleba. I knew he would be great, but trust me, my boy Valentin Tangana is the next level. 8 million. It's cheap now. I don't really know that player. Seen at Brighton. Terence says, here's my concern with Arteta. Robbie, the season pass, lost it to City on the last day. This year, City didn't show up, but lost it to Liverpool's side, who barely bought anyone. I would be concerned. All right, you worry, mate. Talking to managers, a manager that's won a trophy this season, but yet still it's starting to look like he's going to get the boot. Ange Postecoglou of Tottenham.
Are people surprised?
First title in 17 years. First cup. All the Tottenham fans very happy.
Yeah.
But yet still they looking like they might fire him.
Season 3 is better than season 2. Season 3 got cancelled. That's what they're saying.
Didn't get recommissioned. Also, The Godfather 3 is definitely the worst out of all the Godfathers as well. Don't even watch the third one. Watch the first.
Is it unfair to sack him after, you know, I mean, like he's brought them a lot of joy after a terrible season?
He stood on his word and he won them a trophy.
in their second season.
The thing that they don't want to do is almost do the sentimental route and go, right, because you won us that trophy, we're going to start with you. But then after 5 games, they could be even further back than they were at this point now in terms
Did have a lot of injuries last year.
Yeah,
though.
of course. But when they came back, what happened? They were still 16th, 17th. So I think actually it's probably the right thing to say. The optics aren't great because you just won a trophy. You should want to build on that. But I think deep down, I think both parties know that league-wise, obviously they need to be in top 5 to be getting to pay for that stadium. Yes, they're in the Champions League now, but next season, if they fall out of that early, I mean, if he does stay, it could all be over for him in 10 games.
Yeah.
So you might as well cut the tie now whilst you've still got a full pre-season ahead. He leaves on a high, leaves on with the trophy.
Well, not if he gets
Good
sacked.
memory.
He wants to stay, don't he? He's talking about
but
I think
Season 3.
sometimes you got to save them before
exactly.
they ruin themselves. And he's not thinking clearly, I'll be honest, because you can't finish 17th. I don't care what you're fighting for in other competitions. You cannot finish 17th at Tottenham. I've never seen Tottenham finish that low in the table, even when they were just a mid-table team and
Maybe 12th or something.
12th, at worst. But 17th is horrendous.
Also, when he says season 3 is going to be better than season 2, well, if it's any worse, you're getting relegated. You're one place away from getting relegated, so it must be better.
Of course,
it cannot
that's
get
a pretty
worse.
easy thing to say when you finish 17th. Do you know what I mean? The 3 worst teams are just coming up from the Championship.
I actually think that was a bit of a clever move when he said that, because he's got everyone jumping and cheering. Season 3 is better than season 2. I think that was almost a little shot actually to the board to say like, give me the chance, but I don't think they will. It probably is right, but Thomas Frank, if he's got anything about him, you don't go to Tottenham for Brentford.
That's
you don't do that.
Looks like they
Do
might
not
get.
do that.
Are you sure? Because I think Tottenham have actually got...
Inzaghi's another one they're looking
See,
at.
that's someone who shouldn't be going to Tottenham. Inzaghi.
Conte
But
all
Thomas
over again.
Frank, he's good at working with small budgets. He's good at, getting goals. I mean, look what he's done with Mbeumo, Wissa. He's good at maximising out of minimal. And I think Tottenham, when you look at the talent in that team, there's actually talent there. Like, when you look at maybe Odegaard, you've got Maddison if he gets back fit, Kulusevski, you've got Van der Ven, you've got Udogie, Pedro Porro. There's good players there. And they've got young players as well. So it's not even like it's Man United where maybe you've got like a lot of different players from different eras and squads and mismatches. You've actually got a good nucleus of young players.
But in the Champions League, can he do it for
It's a
them?
step, but does he not deserve to step up? I think he does. No,
Yeah.
maybe.
But is it a step up?
It is a step up in terms of you're playing now Champions League level football. You have, in my opinion, that talent. The talent in the Tottenham team should still be higher than the talent in the Brentford team. The budget will definitely be higher. The pool and the should be better. You should be able to attract more higher quality players. I think it actually does make sense for him. I'll be honest.
All right,
Because
it's
Brentford,
looking
what
like-
more can you do?
I want them to keep Ange. You know what I mean? I think the reality's hitting, right? Like, this is what we've been saying for a little while, right? It's great. You won that trophy and all that, but the reality of football is the Premier League. Your bread and butter, week in, week out. He lost 22 games. 2 of those games to the teams below him. He lost at home to Ipswich and at home to Leicester, right? And I think they're sitting down and they're saying, all right, as I said, without it being bad mind and that, you look at that run in the Champions League, in the Europa League, they're supposed to win all those games against all those teams. But when they're looking at the league, they're like, is he going to improve it for next season? I personally don't think they won't be as bad because injuries definitely played a part. But it's going to be hard for them next season because they've got Champions League football now. You can't just go
That's why
you ain't got Europa League where you can
Thomas Frank deal with that?
play kids and stuff like that.
Champions
They
League
can't.
And that's
football.
other-
They can't
that's
attract
actually the
much
other-
more than Thomas Frank as well.
I guess that's the other thing with Thomas Frank is that he's not
No.
had European football
But
before.
they can only attract so much as well because of the position that they finished in the Premier League. They're not going to bring in an elite level top manager. And also, we saw what happened when they got the Mourinhos and the Conte. So they still need to get someone that can fit in with their kind of way of dealing, club dealings in terms of purchases and getting younger players, developing them, kicking them on. There's no point bringing in a serial winner or an Inzaghi who's used to dealing with experienced, backbone of a team at Inter, going for titles, for him to be frustrated at Tottenham. So I think Thomas Frank is like a good medium. Someone that's been in the Premier League.
Bridges the gap a bit.
Yeah, he's proven himself in the Prem. He's shown that he can be consistent and hold a club to a good level. You can't ask any more of that Brentford team than he's already done.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it makes sense. He's tactically flexible as well. He's shown it.
Super Chat says, Wishbash says, AGT, are you excited by Liverpool signing Ekitike?
Yeah, I like the look of him. Obviously,
rumour.
he scored that nice goal against Tottenham, but in the second leg, wasn't involved. He's kind of got that almost wiry body type. It's a little bit like Isak in a way. Like he's quite wiry and lanky, but very quick. And I think if we got him, he'd obviously have to get in the gym and bulk up a little bit, be more physical. But I like the look of him, and I actually could see us going for him.
You're going to turn him into Nunes?
That's another £80 million player.
He's a lot more technically gifted than Nunes.
Yeah, don't bulk him up and turn him into Nunes. Let the man glide.
What, you think Nunes is bulked?
Nunes is he's a bit, he's a bit physical now.
Well,
So
he doesn't know how to use it, though.
It'd be about £80 million.
80?
Yeah,
He's
a lot.
going to be expensive. He's a young guy. African Soldier says, Don Robbie, stop the cap. Arteta inherited a tied mess that won him the FA Cup. He's never won anything since he got rid. Listen, bro, what you need to understand in football is basically what we were just talking about with Tottenham. Those cups are nice, but for big clubs like Arsenal, it's about trying to win the league. We were nowhere near it. He's had to rebuild a team. Whether he's not got over the line, but for the last 3 seasons, he's come runners up. He's challenged. He's built a team that's challenging for the league. That's what it's about. That's why they're looking to sack Ange Postecoglou right now. They don't want to win the Europa League every year. The priority is doing well in the league. That's what it is. Jono says, Matisse, have you responded to Flex yet about Sancho? Looks like you might keep him, innit?
Let's see, because his wage demands are going to have to drop to
What is he on?
something like 120. At Man United, he's making like 300.
That's crazy.
300?
280 or some nonsense.
Gosh.
So, of course, because he cost 100 million. Remember,
When does he go back there?
I don't know what date, but it will be soon if you don't find an agreement. Because
What, 20 mil? What is it?
It'll be 20 mil. The price has never been a massive problem. The only reason why I'm saying I don't mind sending him back, and I would send him back, is because at left wing I want a needle mover. I want someone that's going to come in and bring the starting level.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Starting lineup level up tenfold, because that's what we need to do. I think people are underestimating the difficulty of playing in the Champions League and still qualifying for the Champions League in the same season. I've seen Newcastle, Villa struggle. We have not been finishing in positions that are massive contrast to them to think that we're just going to handle it like that. We need to actually be serious about next season. So I wouldn't keep him. I don't think he's done enough for me personally. And then I wouldn't have him, Neto and Madueke, because they've all been inconsistent. But
Nice goal in the final.
Let's see.
Last,
it was a great goal.
Last couple of super chats here. AGT, last 3, shall I say. Another one's coming here. Prince Brandon says, AGT, Walt made as a striker suits Slot perfect. You know that player?
Who?
Walt made.
That's probably baited.
Well,
Baited to what?
I don't know.
Flavor says,
Never
Matisse,
heard of
you're right. Lukaku's attitude ruined his spell at Chelsea. I don't see Osimhen being any different in terms of attitude. I don't see him lacking in the toxic big star mentality that Lukaku had.
Oh, Waltmader. Is that how you pronounce it? Walter made.
Is it? You know who that is?
Yeah, he's German.
Oh.
But I don't know enough to
Right.
give you an
Stephen
informed
Arnold's
opinion.
grandmother says it took 3 years and 4 months to build the Shard. Lovely building, and the Shard doesn't win
What's that
titles.
got to do with it?
And Truey says, in my opinion, our tears cost Arsenal these few seasons as he's so fixated on winning the league with no striker as Pep did before Haaland. Come to the end of the show today. We are going to be back on Thursday. We're here right throughout the summer, bringing you up to date with transfers, bringing you up to date with the Club World Cup. There's lots of things happening, so keep it locked here. Every Monday, every Thursday, for the weekend roundup, weekend preview, but we'll be big focus be on transfers this season as well. And come Thursday, will Ange Postecoglou still be manager of Tottenham Hotspur? Yes or no?
No.
No.
No from me as well.
Even though you want him to stay.
I want him to stay.
Just like I want Arteta to stay.
I want him to stay. See you on Thursday.